We're live.
We're live. I always appreciate when my phone doesn't freak out too.
I know. I was kind of waiting for it. I'm like, we good.
I know. You never know. Welcome back to Book Chats with Mostly Books. I'm Jody.
I'm Jen.
Tonight we are discussing She Who Became the Sun by Shelley Parker Chan. I feel like we're going to have a lot to talk about with this one.
We do have a lot to talk about.
In like a good way.
Yeah. There's a lot of really good stuff in this book.
Yes. And I feel before we go too far, you should do a synopsis.
Okay, so in broad concept, this book is a retelling of the founding emperor of the Ming Dynasty. So it's around the 1400s. It's like late 1300s.
Mm-hmm.
So we start off with Zhu, who isn't going by that name yet, as like a very poor peasant, and then her family is attacked by bandits. Her dad dies. Her brother gives into grief and does not live up to this greatness that was prophesied for him, while the fortune teller gave Zhu a fortune of nothing. And
literally, they said, your fortune is nothing.
Yeah, not even something as definitive as death. You're just nothing. And Zhu has this, like, kind of like violent desire to live. And is like, no, I'm going to take my brother's fate and become him and embody the greatness he gave up. And then plot happens of Zhu doing that.
And then plot happens. I enjoyed that.
Some wars. There's some monastic school. There's stuff. We'll get to that. It was man, this beginning. Wow. With like, you could, I don't even know how to express this. Like, you could totally see her starving and her village starving in this drought. Yeah.
Where she's like literally
famine.
Eating bugs and they're hoping one day it'll rain again. Oh my gosh, that part was just like, I started and I was like, whoa, this is an intense beginning. And I want to say it gets less intense. It doesn't, but it is so good. At least I thought it was so good.
It gets less dry and dusty.
It does. It rains.
Yeah, it rains. I think I started reading this in summer, and I was like, it's too hot outside. It's too hot in this book.
And you could just feel it in the book. I can totally see that. Had you read it, like, pre-monsoons, you were like,
Yeah, it's like, oh my gosh.
So, yeah, great opening. I guess I should have asked before we got into even the opening was, did you enjoy the book?
I very much enjoyed it. I was really looking forward to reading this. And I'm glad we did. Me
too. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I think I would describe this as more of a historical fiction with light fantasy elements.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how you felt about the fantasy portion of this. I mean, it's being kind of billed as fantasy. And yes, I think we are headed more into that realm. Mm-hmm. But I think people who even just enjoy, like, historical fiction would like this book.
Because it's like, it wouldn't work if you took the fantasy out of it.
No, but it's so light.
Yeah, but it doesn't always show up.
Yeah.
But you still it wouldn't be the same book without it.
Yeah, I agree. It's kind of like,
kind of might sound dumb.
I am not pairing these two together, so please don't assume that I am. But it's kind of like how on Outlander you start off with time traveling and you're like, whoa, what is happening with this book? And then it's like all historical fiction after that.
That's a wild comparison.
I'm not comparing them. I'm merely saying it's a light fantasy where sometimes you won't even notice it. So those of you who want historical fiction may enjoy this book as well.
Or if you get overwhelmed with all the world building in some high fantasy novels, like, this will give you those epic vibes without you having to learn like pages and pages of world building.
Right, because this world exists. I mean, it's an alternate version leading up to the Ming Dynasty.
Don't read this book for research, but like, it's not trying to do that.
But it might encourage you and make you want to explore this time more, because I certainly did.
I did say something on Twitter. The author had posted of like, oh, for those who have finished reading She Who Became the Sun, here's some like, I don't know, it was like links about like the queerness in the novel and something else. I don't remember.
Oh.
Yeah.
That would have been cool.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, it's saved in Twitter somewhere.
If you need more resources to read.
You know.
All right, going back to the book. What, I guess, is your first impression of Zhu?
Zhu... Okay, talk about how it's like we're introduced to our main character.
Yeah, I mean, this was done in a very unique way. Yes.
So, chapter 1, we don't get Zhu's name. Like, Zhu goes by Zhu Changba for most of the book, and that is her brother's name. I'm using her, like, her internal monologue is like how the narrator, this third-person narrator, refers to her as she, but Zhu does not identify as a woman at, like, any point, really.
In any public space, no,
Yeah.
she does not, because
Maybe.
she has taken on her brother's destiny.
Yeah, as a small child before she does anything, sure, but then, like, as she grows up and, like, figures herself out, no.
No, still, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, this is... Who she becomes is who she is supposed to be.
Yeah. So Zhu isn't named in the beginning. She's just the girl, or maybe once or twice the daughter, but usually the girl. And it's not till her brother dies that we start...
I get a name.
Start with her as Zhu. And it's just like, oh, that's
Yeah.
so good.
Yeah, I thought that was really clever. Like,
Yeah.
writing style. And I also really appreciate that you don't really get her real name until the very last page.
Yeah. And it also, like, kind of gave me, like, kind of like the fairy tale myth feel in the beginning. Since it's like, we have the brother, we have the daughter, the girl, the dad, the father. And it's just like, we didn't really need it to, like, get to know Zhu. But, and, like, there's this myth building
You needed it in the sense that you needed to have that moment where she chose her true destiny.
Yeah.
Which a part of me always feels like the prophecy was wrong. It was always meant for her.
Maybe.
I don't know. I know it's debatable. The gods eventually smile upon her.
Like, is
kind
the
of
smiling all this suffering?
Eventually. At the last page. Yeah, I mean, I agree that in that sense it was very fairy tale feeling.
Yeah.
We needed that catalyst to get her started, and we got it.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have more to say about this topic before we continue on to others?
I'm good. We might come back, but
I'm
good.
sure we will. Before we go into the other characters, let's talk about writing, since we've already also discussed how the author set us up at the beginning. Is there anything else you want to talk about with the writing?
The writing's just, it's like very emotional. Like, it's very emotionally close to all the characters.
Yeah.
And intensely emotional.
Which I liked.
I did too.
I thought these characters were incredibly real. I thought they were very well developed through the entire thing. And while there's a very big plot of, like, military strategy in this, you don't necessarily get hung up into that because the characters are so interesting.
Yeah.
That I found myself like, oh yeah, I know you're doing that, but let's go see what you're doing over here as well with this other character.
They're really rich inner lives.
Mm-hmm.
And you get a lot of the drama.
See, I didn't really think it was, I mean, yeah, I guess it is a lot of drama, but I wouldn't have called this drama.
It's not melodramatic in a bad way. It's just, yeah.
I mean, a lot happens.
A lot happens.
And you feel a lot.
You feel, yeah.
So I guess I get that part.
The characters feel a lot, and sometimes and a lot of times they're not happy about it.
Well, it goes back to there's a lot of suffering in this book, but it's also well handled. Is this a debut novel?
Maybe?
I don't know. I feel like somebody said that, but I didn't actually go to look to see if that was actually accurate. But
I feel like I read that somewhere, and then
even if it's only an early book,
read 400 pages of this book and forgot.
The writing is really well done. Like, to capture that much emotion and have a very plot driven at the same time, I'm very impressed with, because I find it's occasionally you get one or the other, and this has it all. So I enjoyed that, as well as very interesting, unique takes on history, which I also liked.
It's also a duology,
which I also liked.
The second one's called, like, Radiant something, I think.
A whole year away.
I know.
Unrelated to writing, but the stylizing of the book, I really like the font choice they chose.
Mm-hmm.
It's very soothing, and I don't know why that was very nice to come to every time I open this book.
We can thank the design department.
Yeah.
Macmillan.
Yeah. The tour. Yeah. So I enjoyed that. I thought it was very...
It's also a serif
very nicely
font.
done.
I am a fan
Yep.
of serif fonts.
Yes.
Fonts, we know this.
Oh, I knew that. And I knew that was what it was. Okay. Do you want to talk about other characters, or do you want to go more with plot? What is your preference on this discussion?
I feel like we usually do characters, so we should do characters next.
Okay. Who would you like to start with next?
Or what do you think of Zhu?
Oh, I didn't say that.
Yeah.
I really liked her. I couldn't relate to the sense of how driven and how much of a survivor she is. I don't know if I would have survived.
Yeah.
And the fact that she, body, soul, and everything else about her, knew she had greatness in her and continued to show that. I don't know. I thought that was a really driven character. Even though it was maybe singularly driven, I still enjoyed that.
Yeah, it's she's kind of scary. Like, especially in, like, the later parts of the book, I could see him like this being worth it to you kind of terrifies me.
I agree. I'm not really sure if we're setting it up for a book 2 of a villain with her. I feel like she could go either way.
Yeah.
With this.
So it's like, but I like that though.
Oh, me too. It makes her much more interesting.
Yeah.
No, I liked her throughout the whole book. I think so.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's start with her monk brother, Shuda. What did you think of Shuda?
He's just so good.
I love Shuda. Yeah.
Kind of wondering if he has, like, himbo energy. Because, like, he's big, he's nice. He's, like, not really stupid, but Zhu's always giving him a hard time. She's like, you remember your prayers? You didn't study. And all this stuff. But he's just nice all the time. And that's...
He's very loyal.
And, like, friendly. Yeah.
Even though he kind of falls in with a bad little bandit crowd for a while.
I love that. When that happened, I was like, wait, what? You're attacked by bandits again. And then there's just this, you get this bit of, like, Zhu, like, taking the bandit by, like, the back of the head and, like, putting their foreheads together. And I'm like, what are you doing? You're gonna die. You can't use a sword. It's a bandit. And then we find out later why. And I'm just like, oh my god.
Yeah. I really also appreciated that he knew instantly that Zhu was maybe not who she was claiming to be as a monk.
Is that a spoiler?
I don't feel like it is, because we already know she goes and takes on her brother appearance-wise, so I don't feel like that's spoiling anything, but I did appreciate him knowing that.
I did like, because, like, Zhu was like, you knew, and he's like, I slept beside you in the same bed for 6 years.
Yeah. I know. I think he knew even before that. Like,
probably.
I felt like instantly, the day they met, he was just like, hey, little brother, this is going to work out.
Yeah, but he's also, like, she's second in command, and so, like, they do well.
Yeah, they do well. Okay,
We have to talk about Ouyang.
Yeah, I was like, can we talk about Ouyang?
Yes, can we talk about this dude?
Yes, what do you want to say about Ouyang?
Oh, I love him.
You would. He's very brooding.
He's very brooding. He's prickly all the time. It's just, but that poor dude has so much going on.
Yes, he has a lot of trauma to work through. Rightly so. I also enjoyed him.
He doesn't have baggage for a royal procession.
Yes, he does. I agree. That was a perfectly way of putting it. Yeah, I liked Ouyang. I'm very curious to see how he continues.
Yeah, it's like, he makes you sad, but then he'll do some things that just make you so mad. It's
yes.
like, oh my gosh.
Yes, that
like,
is
dude.
very, very true.
And then there's moments of, like, humor. There's, like, exhibition, like, fights, and he's, like, on the sidelines, like, why are you... And he's been in, like, actual war zones.
Well, he's, like, a very high-up general.
Yeah, and he's like, why are you guys doing this? Like, what do you get out of, like, make-believe war?
Because he's watching all these, like, royalty and rich sons prance around.
Yeah, and since it's, like, an exhibition, like, they want to see, like, flourishing sword fight styles, and he's like, I'm not doing that.
He should not have to. Seriously, he's won enough battles.
Yeah, so I guess there's some, like, dry humor with how he conducts himself.
I think he's got some dry humor as well. Okay, I don't want to say maybe too much about him, because I feel like we'll get into that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
He's a Yuan general, I guess. So he's, like, technically on the opposite side of Zhu.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, anyone else character-wise we want to talk about now, prior to telling everyone to go read this book?
I don't know. I don't know.
I feel like everything else we'll talk about, and I feel like otherwise...
Those two, we get a lot of their points of view, especially Zhu, and we get a few other characters as well. So it's not just told in one point of view, or one side's point of view.
It does flip around a lot, which is nice because it gives you a more global look of what's happening in this war with all these characters.
Yeah.
Did you feel like that was a weird transition? Because it was pretty much all Zhu in the beginning. And then, like, 100 pages later, you get Ouyang.
Not really.
I thought it was a little jarring, but I wasn't upset with it.
I didn't know to expect it, but then I was like, okay, like, enough fantasy novels do this. Like,
I was happy that we finally got that other perspective, because I was like, okay, good, now I can see this other side. And I like to see all the action in a story. Okay, I feel like we should probably just do spoilers, just so I don't end up spoiling something.
Yeah.
Okay, spoilers from here. Go read this. We super, super enjoyed it. I think we'd both highly recommend this.
Yeah, supply chain errors might affect, like, getting hands on this book. But
yes.
Yeah.
Pre-orders are always good.
Yeah.
All right, spoilers from here.
Yep.
Okay, now that we've done that, where do you really want to start?
Lots of people die.
I knew you've been holding back. Oh my goodness, yes, there's a lot of death. Especially in the last, like, 50-ish pages.
Yeah, so many characters die in the end. It's just like, oh my gosh.
There aren't too many that I was... There's a couple I was upset about.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Kind of.
Okay, but leading up to this death, let's go back a little bit. Maybe we don't want to start here, but this is where I'm starting. I feel like we need to start at the monastery when Ouyang is first, like, kind of comes and sees Zhu for the first time and sets her entire monastery on fire. Which basically then sets her off on, like, what am I going to do now to get my greatness?
Yeah.
It was a great, yet again, catalytic moment for her. I'm not sure if that's a word. Whatever. For her to start, like, going a different route, because then she had to take off and go.
It was like the impetus for her to, like, because at one point she was thinking, like, I was never going to leave the monastery, and it's just like, well, that decision ultimately wasn't up to you.
It really, a lot of her decisions ultimately aren't up to her in, like, that moment, because, you know, she takes on her brother's destiny because she has no other option. She does. I mean, I think when she hit the midway mark where she finally decides the gods are not going to smite me. I think after that point, she becomes more of a decision maker in her life. I don't know if that's true or not.
It's. I think it's all about the choice that Zhu makes to, like, be Zhu, Changba. That's like she makes all these choices, and it's very, like, yeah, it's maybe desperation, but it's like, these are choices you've made.
Interesting. I'm not disputing that.
Because Zhu's always like, there's another way, and it's like, you see this as your only way.
She does.
But you could have done things in other ways.
So you're saying, well, I mean, I guess she didn't have to take on her brother's destiny.
No.
That is true.
Yeah.
I still think it was always hers. It was always her destiny. She just, the entire time when she was little, and she was like...
If this was, like, fate, then wouldn't fate have, like, predicted this happening?
I kind of always felt like the prophecy lied, and the nothingness was actually for the boy or her brother.
Yeah.
But because it's a boy, he didn't want to say that, because it's the 8th son that was born on the whatever.
He has, like, the super lucky name.
Yeah, I think it was always reversed.
I
don't know that that's true or not. That's just my, like, the entire time when she was little, and she's like, I need to make sure I am my brother. With my brother, I've made this decision. I have to be him. I was like, doesn't matter. It is your decision. It is who you are. Anyway, we get that eventually. She finally gets over that. Okay, so anyway, I felt like that was a moment where she was forced into doing something. She meets him, and then there's that moment where she's like, likeness and likeness. Mm-hmm. So we already knew these two are going to continue to see each other throughout this journey. Yeah, that's a perfect way of putting it. Yeah, like they both are on a journey that are going to butt heads.
Yeah, because like she was like, well, the like Ouyang attacking the monastery like made me set me on my fate, and then Zhu later wipes out 10,000 of Ouyang's men, and he's like, well, started on my fate, not too happy about it.
Yeah, I mean, they both start each other in a way,
yeah, to
like really like full on, because I feel like Ouyang needed that push. Do we want to give the backstory of him where we probably should.
We can, yeah.
Do we need to? Or I feel like we need to only in order to set up his journey.
Yeah,
is that fair? Okay, so Ouyang's family is completely wiped out by, I don't remember what the guy's name is. It's Essen's father. No, actually, it's the guy ahead of, because they're a prince.
Because so Ouyang is like native non-Ren, which is like where this is all taking place, and then the Yuan are the invaders. So his family gets wiped out, and like the head of the Yuan, like the Great Khan, like convicts his father of treason or being a traitor or whatever, and like wipes out his entire family
to the nth or like the ninth
degree, which I think it's like 9 generations or something. But like his parents are killed in front of him.
I wondered if it was cousins, generations, or if it was like all the cousins, like first, second, like that way.
That might be it.
But yeah, so his entire family is killed.
He's orphaned, and they're killed in front of him, and he's a child, and he wants to live. So
yet again,
and then it's Essen's father who like takes mercy on him and like mutilates him. So he is a eunuch, and they're like very much looked down upon, because it's like, how could you as a man let your body be mutilated this way,
as if he had a choice.
Yeah, so it's like a lot, there's like conquest going on in this novel, and then you also see like the victims of this, like, and then what that's doing to the present. There's a whole yeah I enjoy that kind of stuff in my books.
I enjoyed it as well, and I feel like, I guess that's why I wanted the backstory of this, because it set it set Ouyang into that moment where he was like, I really need to get my vengeance. I cannot stay in this cushy position where I am the lead general for Essen, and we're having a very strong friendship that...
You say friendship, more. I say like star-crossed romance, but there we go.
It definitely could be. I just felt like he was never going to let it happen.
Oh yeah, no, they were never going to actually get together.
I think Essen was just very one-sided. You guys can go read the book and debate it out with us later.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think that in that moment after the bridge and all that, he had to realize he needed to actually start doing his plan of taking it out, the guy that killed the actual Khan, the Great Khan that killed his family.
Oh yeah, Ouyang's like sworn revenge against the entire... Yeah.
But he's kind of just been like going along up until that moment.
Yeah, he's kind of been like...
I mean, he had to build himself up to become... Yeah,
he's not happy in this life before he like sees like, okay, now my fate begins. But he's not... I don't know. He's got some feelings on that. Yeah. I know, these two really butt heads, and they really start each other off on their... I don't know, they really start them like turning their routes. And they're kind of working towards similar end goals.
Yes.
But not for the same reasons.
I know, a part of me is like, you two just need to get together and see if you can work it out.
They work together once, and
they do.
It works, and it's a whole
right thing. At the end ish part. Yeah. Okay, because there's a lot to talk about in this. What do you want to talk about priority wise? Because I mean, otherwise we could be here for hours, because it's so dense with everything that happens, and there's so much to unpack with all of the characters.
Yeah,
this is a great book club pick in case anyone needs a recommendation. So
there's a lot to unpack. Like, there's like the war going on. There's political machinations going on. Zhu often is thinking about like which side to choose. Ma is another character lead. She's a minister's daughter, and her dad is killed, or a general's daughter. And her dad is killed, and then so she's like in the court and is also like trying to understand the political stuff going on and save her betrothed. And all this stuff.
He's a punk, her betrothed.
Oh, he's the worst.
Yeah.
But I did feel bad when he died.
Did you?
Yeah.
I felt bad for her in the sense that, like, I hope that you still can continue the lifestyle you have. Like, they don't throw you out on the street.
But, like, how he was killed, he was done dirty.
I don't remember being upset by that.
I mean, like, it was upset. Yeah, I'm like, okay, you kind of earned it, but because you have a big mouth and you're full of yourself. Yeah. But also, like...
And he's a jerk to Ma.
Yeah.
But, okay.
Chen's the worst. He's just...
Yeah.
I kind of love to hate him, though.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think you said this well, that he's your villain, like, or feels very sinister. Maybe
he's one of the antagonists Zhu has to, like, overcome.
Yes, because this Chen is what was it, the left-handed
minister? Yeah.
Why did I say handed? Left minister.
Because there's left and right.
So he's obviously trying to use Zhu as a pawn, but she's more clever than that. Yeah. She will use him as a pawn. Yeah, I really liked Ma. I'd really like to see more of her in the second book. I really liked where her arc has left us. Can I just say that she and Zhu were together at this stage, and it made me very happy?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. It did. I don't know what else to say about Ma. Anything else you want to say about her?
She makes me sad a little bit.
Oh?
And, like, I see what, like, that her and Zhu could be happy, but it seems like Zhu's priorities are not messed up, but, like, it's gonna make this an interesting relationship. And there's a lot of suffering.
That's totally valid statement, especially, again, with, like, the last page or so where she's like, I hope you want to come, well, Zhu's like, I hope you want to come on this journey with me, but I'm going to tell you now it's going to be a painful and hard journey, specifically for you. And it's very selfish, I feel like, in some ways, of Zhu to realize how much she's prioritizing her greatness over what her and Ma could have. But I guess that also says something that she can also be very upfront about it.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what it says. Something.
Because it's like they're well matched. Like, they go together well, and they often, like, work together well. But there's just going to be tension there. I don't necessarily know how to explain it, but there's going to be conflict in their relationship.
Oh, absolutely. And you know Zhu's going to do things that Ma disagrees with.
She already has.
Yep, that's why you know that's going to happen again. And I also feel like she's just kind of going to get, like, pushed to the side and perhaps forgotten at times. Like, I'm off doing my big battles. You stay here.
Yeah. Well, because Zhu, like, tells Ma at one point, like when Ma still thinks Zhu is just a monk that doesn't know how to ride a horse or use a sword.
Those are very entertaining moments, by the way.
Those are entertaining. And Zhu tells her, like, you can want things in your life. Like, you're allowed to do that. You should do that.
Yes.
And this, like, takes Ma, like, couple hundred pages to, like, really work out what that means. So, like, I kind of want to see how that... Because that kind of faded out of the plot a little bit.
I loved that moment, though, when Zhu said that to Ma. But you're right, it took Ma a really long time to be like, oh, Ma, maybe, like, I really can have things.
Yeah, because Ma figures out she's like what she doesn't want, which that's a different thing entirely.
Yeah. I enjoyed that as well. Okay, do you want to talk more about the actual end?
Yeah, we can.
Okay. Anything specific? I mean, I'm not really sure how we want to talk about the end, because without talking about all the rest of the plot is sort of hard, other than the fact that there's a lot of deaths.
Well, Zhu isn't
there's
the
a lot of
emperor
betrayal.
There's a book too.
Not yet.
Yeah.
But we are well on our way.
Yeah.
I feel like you just need to know there's going to be a lot of deaths, a lot of betrayals. Betrayals that...
Oh, they're so good, but they're so sad.
And were you surprised by any of the betrayals?
Not really. No.
I don't feel like I was.
Not in, like, a you could see each one coming, but like sometimes you could because you're told like outright like Ouyang's gonna betray everyone who like even kind of cares about him. But it's just like they're set up well.
They're set up really well.
Yeah.
I think the one that I might have been most surprised about was Essen's brother, who
Lord Wang.
He didn't necessarily betray, but he definitely didn't stop anything from happening.
Yeah, so Ouyang's been doing his machinations. And then Essen's like talking to his brother. He's like, I never thought you would betray me. And then Ouyang, dramatic entrance, no, it was my betrayal. And then you find out Lord Wang's been helping him this whole time, like kind of like, was it greasing the skids? Is that how the phrase goes?
Yeah, something to that effect.
Yeah, so making all of Ouyang's plans like go smoothly and actually like work out the way he wants them to.
Yeah, because he like poisons a bunch of people and does things and does more things.
Yeah, and he's like, you didn't know I was helping you? Like, I spelled it out for you, and like he kind of did. Ouyang just like kind of refused to hear it.
Which is sort of funny because Ouyang was like, oh, I guess I just thought it was all working out. No, buddy. I actually, the part of that was surprising for me was that the brother had that moment with Ouyang where he was like, I totally understand why you feel so like
we're alike too. Yeah. And he's like, you don't know anything about me. He's like, we both know what it means to be humiliated.
Yeah, and like a second-class citizen for sure in this place.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the brother felt like that.
Yeah, they're definitely...
I mean, it's still different.
Yeah.
Because he still has some more privilege.
Yeah.
By far. But he was definitely abused by his father. He was adopted.
Yeah. It's like he was his nephew and then adopted as his son.
Yeah. But he was also from a different culture. Wasn't he from the other...
He's mixed. Like, his mother was Yuan, his father was Nanren.
Right. That's what it was. And so they still kind of looked down on him. So I kind of was like, I get that. So anyway, it was kind of interesting that Essen was so blinded.
Oh, yeah. Essen was just, like, could not see it. Like, Ouyang was like, how do you know me best, but how do you still so fundamentally misunderstand me?
It seems like Essen really misunderstood everyone. He was just like, I'm really going along great in my life. Things are great.
Yeah. He seemed a little naive at times.
Well, he was very privileged and spoiled as well. And yes, probably was naive because of some of that.
Yeah. And it's just like, oh, dude.
Yeah. So, yeah, anything else you want to say about the end?
We didn't talk about, like, the Radiant King.
Oh, yeah. Or any of the fantastical elements of this book.
The Prince of Radiance, is that his title?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We didn't talk about that. But
or the ghosts.
There's ghosts.
Yeah. What did you think of the ghosts?
I like ghosts.
I do, too. So, as you could see these ghosts from basically when her father and brother died, she saw them. And they would just kind of be, like, around all the time, and she realized that not anyone else could see them except Lord Radiance could see them.
This tiny child, it's like an 8-year-old or something.
That was creepy, by the way.
Yeah, so like the rebels find this kid, and he has like the mandate of heaven, and so he like glows red and has like red light powers, basically.
I'm not sure what these powers do other than make a large circle of red.
It inspires the people. He has the mandate of heaven.
It did inspire the people.
He has the right to rule. And so he's like from like he saws quietly. Wait, he saws out quietly, hands so tasty. He's from the Song Dynasty, so it's before the Yuans invade.
Well done.
I can remember like the mnemonic for the dynasties, but I can only remember some of the names.
So it's good. Go.
So the rebels are like, cool, we have this kid, we can reinstate the Song Dynasty. And so the rebels take their red color from that. But then like the Yuans have blue for theirs, and we see another guy with like orange for like a different dynasty. And then we find out Zhu also has this mandate of heaven, just in a different color. Her glow is like blinding white. Which I also thought was interesting because it's like bright but also like overwhelming.
It's overwhelming.
Yeah.
I'm really excited to see where that goes. I totally forgot about this, which is funny because all along I'm thinking, oh, the boy.
Yeah.
Can we talk about the boy?
But it, like, comes out that, like, this Prince of Radiance can also see ghosts. And then Ma puts it together like, oh, those who can see ghosts have the mandate of heaven, and then it suddenly, like, explains why Zhu has been seeing ghosts this whole time.
Yep.
Yep.
Did Zhu put that all together? Or is it just Ma? Because I feel like we maybe just got it from Ma.
I think Ma puts it together. Zhu kind of, like, wills herself to have the mandate of heaven, basically.
That was crazy, because she really, really willed herself to have that power.
Yeah. Because she doesn't always like, or like Zhu tries, and then she's like, oh, there's nothing in my hand.
You know, like any magical gift, it's one you're going to have to learn to control and harness at a moment's notice. And she's just working on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was very cool.
So then it's like, it shows like how things have been set up over the whole course of the book. Because it's like, Zhu is like, I did something terrible, I can see ghosts, I'm going haunted for the rest of my life. And that wasn't the case. Not really.
Do you think her nothingness prophecy, I'm going back to that again, is because she relinquished her name, which made it nothing?
Maybe. I don't know. I don't have a full answer yet.
It's okay. I'm just pondering this out loud and making you all go on my journey with me. Yeah, she was definitely a chosen one. I'm very excited to see where that's going to take her, and I'm still a little scared and nervous, to be honest.
But like a chosen one who decides to make themselves the chosen one.
Did she make herself, or was she always chosen?
I don't know. Like, Zhu and Ouyang have, like, their ideas of fate are interesting because there's both, like, this, like, predetermined quality to it. But Zhu's feels more elastic. Like, Ouyang is kind of like, there's one point where he's like, I texted a friend, says he's, like, overwhelmed by fatalism or something, and I was like, oh my gosh.
Oh yeah, I remember that point.
Yeah. It's a bit of an edgelord, but, like, he's great. I've enjoyed him very much.
So how do you really feel about Ouyang?
He can stay. So can you.
Yeah, I liked both of them as well. And I like Ma. I think those... Well, and I like Shuda, too. Those are my 4 favorite characters. If I needed to be told I can only have 4 characters, continue on.
Yu-chun. Yu-chun or Yu-chun.
Is that the boy?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That one too.
He's like a street urchin thief, turned into like a fairly good soldier.
Pretty good soldier. I did really enjoy him and Zhu training together.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. This is it seems scattered, but that's just because there's a lot to talk about and we don't want to talk about the entire thing.
And a lot of it like ties in together, so it's hard to like talk about, like, there's not this like one plot line we can talk about. They'll all mix together.
There is a really great trigger warning section in Goodreads by the author on this book. In case you need it, there's a lot that maybe potentially could be triggers in this book. So just
it's also a lot of gender feels. Yes. And it's like really interesting how it's discussed between the 2 characters. Yeah.
Agree.
Well, there's more to it than that, but like, especially like in Zhu and Ouyang and how they view their own genders.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think there's even for like Ma, there's a lot to discuss here in that sense. I don't know if you want to discuss more of that.
Do we have time? That's a whole other thing.
It is a whole other thing.
We could spend hours on that.
I felt like it was really an interesting look at things, and it was very well done.
It's like one of the few fantasy novels I've read that like handles gender as like a topic it's going to discuss.
Pretty forefront too.
Yeah, and like deal with. Like Black Tides of Heaven did the similar thing, but then the gender is part of like the magic system. This, it's just, we're going to get this in these characters, and these are things they deal with.
Yep. Yeah. Yep. And I thought it was really handled nicely.
I enjoyed it.
Okay, well, I feel like we've covered most of this book.
That was a lot. It still feels, I'm like, but no, there's so much you didn't get.
There's so much more. Just go read it.
Yeah, it was so good.
But prepare yourself because the next book's not out for a little while. But I felt like it's not a cliffhanger ending, at least.
Not
like,
really.
In a way, I was like, I feel very satisfied with the end of this book, but I could definitely have more.
Yeah. But it's also like, you know, the Ming Dynasty happened. So.
Yeah, you know it's leading that way. Agreed. Okay. Yeah. Parting thoughts otherwise next week?
parting thoughts, I want the next book
now. And next week, it'll be Jen and I again.
We're back, yeah.
And we're going to be doing The House in the Cerulean Sea by T.J. Cloon. Mm-hmm. Another fantasy novel that I am delighted about. I don't know if I want to say much more than that.
He just had a new book come out, so.
He did, Under the Whispering Door. I really feel strongly that everyone should read this book before next week, though. Because you will love it. And then I won't be spoiling it for you, which will make you sad because you should just go read it.
You should.
So there's your homework for the week.
You might cry.
Yeah, you might.
Like, not in a bad way.
But not in a bad way, exactly what I was thinking. So be sure to tune in next Friday. I'm sure we'll have many thoughts on this book as well.
Yeah.
All right. Bye.